was a run-in, more of a jogging, because it's me and I'm a fat bastard. But I thought it was appropriate I would start this here video going through all of the WTF moments for last night's Monday Night Raw by doing a run-in on my own pissing video, since there was roughly 1.2 million run-ins throughout the whole course of the night. Why was there so many? Why am I so out of breath? Hit the intro. Performance Center. Good riddance to you. How were the Thunderdome era? WTF! And so we started last night's show with some technical difficulties as Retribution are here again, doing exactly the same thing that Bray Wyatt was doing roughly this time last year. Which means, of course, that for the second time in WTF Moments history, I need to call upon the assistance of gimmick infringement Kane, who sees WWE superstars who commit gimmick infringement and he goes after them and he takes all the toilet paper out the house so they have nothing to wipe their bums with. Bruce Pritchard, he's going to commit double gimmick infringement punishment on you, since you, Bruce Pritchard, also nicked his name which you gave to your son. Yes, Brucey P's son is called Kane. So Retribution, Bruce Pritchard, he's coming for you. Look at him, he's a monster.
Yep, I wrong. Yep, I wrong.
And then we have a direct quote from Byron Saxton himself when he says, "You have to wonder how the Heartbreak Kid will respond to seeing one of his closest friends attacked in such a vicious fashion." Now, I felt like if I was making this a WTF moment a few short weeks ago, I would be saying, Byron Saxton, what the hell are you talking about, man? Shawn Michaels is a man who put his best friend through a barbershop window. If he was seeing Ric Flair last week getting hoofed or not hoofed in the side of the head by Randy Orton, he'd be sat at home with a glass of sangria going meh. But now, after what might or might not have happened in the news over the past few weeks, if you don't know what I'm talking about here, Google is your friend. I've got no idea what to say. It might be a WTF moment, it might not be, Byron, I'm sorry. But then we have to discuss that opening segment a bit more at length, because Retribution are here once again, providing us with more WTF moments. WTF moments that if you didn't know about Retribution, and this was your first Monday Night Raw back in the fold after a period away, you'd be thinking it was all down to dun 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 dun. And this example here in particular just felt like this whole Retribution thing is a massive cover-up operation for Kevin Dunn doing Kevin Dunn things. And I want you at home to tell me what I'm about to say is beyond the realms of possibility, because I don't think it is. Daddy Drew McIntyre calls himself a 6'5" fire breathing dragon, and Kevin Dunn is aroused as piss backstage. While most men, when they get aroused, they get a little stiffy in the trousers, Kevin Dunn, he's a bit different, you see. He gets aroused with his massive chompers flying out the front of his face, inadvertently hitting some buttons and causing those technical difficulties that were apparently down to Retribution. I see your game, Kevin. Tell me that's beyond the realms of possibility, because I don't think it is. But it's weird, isn't it? Because during this whole pandemic era, by and large, WWE TV, while we all must appreciate WWE, the superstars, the producers, everybody involved in the show, we must appreciate them putting on a show to try and distract us from our issues in this world. What the hell am I talking about this preachy bollocks for? But it's weird, isn't it? By and large, WWE in this pandemic era has been absolutely awful. There's been some highlights, yes, of course there has, but largely it's been crap. Yet here we find ourselves with this whole Retribution covering up for Kevin Dunn's mistake storyline, and WWE are going out of their way, judging off that opening segment to last night's show alone, by making their already unwatchable show, by and large, even more unwatchable. And then we have a moment that brought out an audible laugh out of my facial, because quite frankly, I am a child who heard Drew McIntyre say at the top of his daddy lungs, Drew McIntyre is a damn weapon. Of course, Drew McIntyre, by calling himself a weapon, was calling himself an AK-47 or a massive sword. fish or something that causes a lot of devastation to something. But me, in my childish head, when I hear somebody call somebody else a weapon or hear somebody refer to themselves as a weapon, I think they're calling themselves a massive fool. And who in the blue hell is that? Immediately upon seeing this, it might just be me, it might have been you at home as well, I was asking myself, why the hell and how the hell has Riott from CKY fame wormed up into what could be, or might not be, Kevin Dunn's chair in the production truck on Monday Night Raw? And we've got to ask the question, haven't we? Where the hell was Kevin Dunn? 3 or 4 men all sat in that production truck. Not one of them was Kevin Dunn. The same Kevin Dunn, of course, who was flapping his beaver teeth all over the news yesterday with the announcement of the Thunderdome in Orlando, but when it comes to his bread and butter, he's nowhere to be seen. Kevin Dunn, absolute shithouse. Now I know, yes, I concede, I know fine well that Seth Rollins is a professional wrestling heel. He is supposed to say things that incites the fans watching, make us angry, make us shake our fists at the television like this. Not like this. That's an Adam Pacitti thing there, I think. But here we see Seth Rollins providing us with a WTF moment when he was having a go at Daddy Drew McIntyre for not being able to protect Ric Flair, who of course was punted in the head by his biological son / toy boy lover Randy Orton on last week's show. And I did that mean face there when Seth Rollins said that very mean face there. And I mean, WWE, have Seth Rollins be an absolute dick by all means, but while you're making him be a dick, make the things he's saying actually make sense. When Ric Flair got hoofed in the Charles Robinsons, I've nicked that from the YouTube comments over the weekend. Thank you very much. When Ric Flair got punted right in the tet, as the French would say, he was quite literally the enemy of Drew McIntyre. Why would Drew McIntyre be out there looking to save the enemy when he didn't know the enemy was about to become not the enemy? What? And then we have a WTF moment that can only happen in WWE. We have that camera shot there that lasted for bare time, and that was down to Retribution, who are here once again. That's an OSW reference. I don't think it's working though, is it? I'm going to stop it right now. Sorry about that, yeah. But Retribution, of course, who were doing this sort of thing here, causing technical difficulties, seemingly moving the cameramen away from their cameras, forcing WWE to use the hard cam and the hard cam only, one shot for a very long time. And I made this a WTF moment, first of all, because Tom Campbell out there, my best friend in the entire world after Tamina Snuka, he sent me this morning, and I thought, yeah, I agree with that, Tom. I'm going to steal it and put it in my video. Only in WWE would a camera shot that lasts more than 2 seconds be classed as a technical difficulty, because Kevin Dunn, when he's at that button, he goes at it furiously, doesn't he? He loves the camera cuts, endless camera cuts. Imagine, right, in the Thunderdome in Orlando, imagine Kevin Dunn with drone cameras at his disposal. We're all going to be puking watching this week's SmackDown, SummerSlam on Sunday, TakeOver, every single WWE shows. Brace yourself now, Kevin Dunn has drone cameras and you are going to be seasick. But back to that camera shot I was talking about there, I didn't think it was so much a WTF moment, more in the fact that it was a welcome break from the absolute bollocks we see from Kevin Dunn. On this one occasion, thank you Retribution. That's weird. And then we learned that MVP plans to get Apollo Crews over his knee at SummerSlam, and I quote, school him. And I don't know about you, but when I heard MVP utter those words there out of his own mouth, that is what popped into my mind first. And I tell you what, I am very aroused, and it's also quite fitting with the tagline for SummerSlam 2020, you never saw it coming, whatever it is. Did you see that coming? Before now? Because it's coming. You might be too. Oh. This cannot go in. It's staying in. Why not? It's staying in. this die. What up, fam? Let me get your number, Angelo Dawkins says to that woman there. And Angelo Dawkins, you dirty, dirty bastard. You've got a partner at... Why am I talking Yorkshire now? You've got a partner at home. You've got a fresh little baby, a fresh little bundle of joy, and you're there chatting up that lady from The Bachelor who appears backstage these days every single week on Monday Night Raw for no good reason whatsoever. Why is she there every week? That's besides the point. Angelo Dawkins, you horrible man. Pat Buck by name, paying millions of bucks for a snazzy set of pants by nature. Just look at them, man. Look at them. They're too good for Monday Night Raw, Pat. Save them for something good. And then we get on to the Golden Role Models versus Shayna and Asuka. And I found it really nice how Nia Jax interferes in the match. She attacks Shayna Baszler, who was involved in this tag team affair. No DQ is called, though. Is this AEW? I stopped myself there from saying it. I'm going to do it again. Is this AEW, the land where tag team wrestling rules do not exist? I am on WWE. Now sit down, because what I'm about to say is a huge WTF moment. Mickie James' last televised WWE match was the Women's Battle Royal, all the way back on the WrestleMania 35 kickoff show. Remember when that one took place? You could do so many things you can't do today, including Tom Campbell's weird kink, where he likes to piss in his hands and rub people, whatever he does with her. Oh dear. But WWE were doing well, making a big deal of Mickie James's big return to televised professional wrestling. She appeared on last week's Raw. The match this week was announced, and I've got no idea what happened in the 7 days since last Monday's show, because Mickie James rocks up to this week's Raw. First of all, she gets a jobber entrance. Second of all, she loses to Natalya, and she loses to Natalya via countout in a match where an angle at ringside involving Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe takes precedence. And we have all of this going on while the commentary team are talking about what a legend Mickie James is, how it's great and how it's so important that Mickie James is back to help the Raw Women's division. If that's the case, lads, what the hell was that booking all about? In fact, what was the point in any of it? Who did that benefit whatsoever apart from Samoa Joe and Seth Rollins, who weren't involved in that pissing match? Mickie James might as well have stayed at home. And they're still doing it, so I still need to mention it once again. Rightfully so, WWE are presenting this whole retribution thing as if it was real. That's what they should be doing, but they're doing it wrong, aren't they? They're making these massive Oscar-worthy promo packages that are taking up large portions of their shows. Raws and SmackDowns, they happen on both of those, and these are massive Oscar-worthy promo packages that wouldn't be happening if it was real. I take it back to the Max Headroom incident once again. The following week's episode of Doctor Who didn't start with the good doctor himself popping up in front of the screen going, whoa, let's have a look at the invasion that happened to our television network last week. Let's look back at these horrible, horrible men making us and our television network look like a complete bunch of numpties. Present the Oscar-worthy promo package, please. It doesn't happen if it's real WWE. Stop it. And I fully understand that WWE is a television program of episodic nature. This might just be me with the perspective as I look at these TV shows looking for WTF moments. But these promo packages, they take you right out the moment of something that's already horribly crap to begin with. This is gonna be sick, said Shane McMahon. That's the WTF moment. The WTF moment is 50-year-old Shane McMahon using the word sick like that, man. I tell you, Shane McMahon's Raw Underground is exactly the same as Chandler Bing trying to sell roller skates. Shane McMahon, if you're watching, go back and watch how Chandler Bing sold those roller skates and do something similar with Raw Underground. Show it's too cool for Shane McMahon. Show it's too young for Shane McMahon. Do anything but say the word sick. Aye. And we've got to make it a WTF moment once again, I guess. We have to, based off the last 6 years of Dolph Ziggler's career. Because once again, Dolph Ziggler has rocked up to Raw Underground, and Dolph Ziggler has looked like Brock Lesnar at the shoot fighting. Going off kayfabe and going off his win-loss record at the pro wrestling alone, Dolph Ziggler has been horrible at the professional wrestling since about Survivor Series 2014 and the debut of Sting. Yet he rocks up here and he's dominating all kinds of fools, bitch slapping them and all sorts. And I'm asking Dolph Ziggler, what have you been doing for the past 6 years? Why, if you are so good at this style that they use in Raw Underground, why weren't you using this style in the professional wrestling ring of Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, WWE's main roster. Of course, Raw Underground is a little bit different because there are no rules apart from don't touch his eyes, but you can tickle his bollocks all you want. But adapt that style within the rules of pro wrestling and who knows, you might have held the world title as much as Brock Lesnar. The same Brock Lesnar you're proving you're better than at the shoot fighting. It's a weird concept, Dolph Ziggler in Raw Underground, I'm sure you will agree. And Wyatt family Bray Wyatt is back. Again. And these lads and lasses here in the corner of the ring, they get it, but they also provide us with a WTF moment. Of course, the main issue with Raw Underground for many is the fact there's no purpose to what they're doing. What's the point in these lads and lasses throwing their bodies round like they're massive sacks of uncooked beer? Why are they doing it? What are they doing it for apart from to make Shane McMahon a little bit more excitable than he already is, this scrappy-doo looking prick? At least these lads and lasses here in the corner of the ring are putting bets on and making something from this entire spectacle. Shane McMahon, look at those people and offer incentives for your fighters as well. That's the crucial thing that it's missing. What are they fighting for? What's the purpose of all of this? Nia Jax, suspended by WWE, carried off into the night earlier on in last night's Raw. Half an hour goes by, 20 seconds goes by, several days go by, but in that same episode of Monday Night Raw, Nia Jax then rocks up to Raw Underground, where the Raw superstars fight the not Raw superstars, but the Raw superstars also appear on Shane McMahon's Raw Underground, and Nia Jax, who was suspended by Raw, gets a featured slot. If Monday Night Raw are promoting Raw fights as they are here with Ivar taking on Brock Lesnar on next week's show, surely Nia Jax can't appear on it, can she not? Is that just me who finds that weird? Probably, but we'll move on. But of course, all credit in the world must go to Shayna Baszler, who has bigger lady balls than Lady Balls herself. If there's one place you surely do not want to fight Nia Jax, it's in an arena like Raw Underground where there are no rules. No rules. No rules. Say it in English, Ross, for the first time in your life. Montez Ford, poisoned a short couple of weeks ago, rocks up on this week's Raw, goes straight into the crowd. Now surely, since you've been poisoned, you've got a bit of a compromised immune system. Why is he in the crowd with no mask on? Absolute madness from WWE, I'm sure you will agree. And then that screenshot there was taken from when Tom Phillips was doing what Tom Phillips does best on Raw commentary, and that's when he was face fornicating it. Just as that thing was happening there, Tom Phillips claimed there's no way Montez Ford can be 100% on this week's Raw. Well, it turns out, Tom, he's 200. Maybe 300. But I guess it also has to be a WTF moment that the fact that 2 short weeks after he was poisoned, Montez Ford was back on Monday Night Raw, 110, 300% fit. Zelina Vega, you need to get yourself a better poison dealer. I know a man. And surely I was not the only person asking this question. Why the hell has Shawn Michaels let that grow back? It looks like an absolute state, so it does, Shawn Michaels. And I know, because my hair is a state as well. But yours is a different kind of state. It looks so much better when it was bald. Get rid of it, man. You know, it makes sense. And I guess once we got to the end of Monday Night Raw, we had the sort of sobering WTF moment that was Retribution. Last week's SmackDown, they caused all sorts of havoc. They locked a human being inside of a toilet while that human being was having a poo. They made Kayla Braxton cry on the floor. I'm sure they stained some of her clothing. They did all sorts of horribleness on last week's SmackDown. Yes, there was a few technical difficulties on this week's Raw, but apart from the start of the night, what did they really do? How did WWE really follow up the devastation? What happened on last week's SmackDown? It was up, it was there, and now it's gone lower. What are they doing? What a mess. Scrap this Retribution bollocks, I say. It's doing nothing for nobody. And that's it for the WTF moments from this week's Raw. But before I go, Monique, I can see you're watching this absolute travesty of a YouTube video right now. I've got a message for you on behalf of Ricky Dunleavy. I'm going there. I want to let you know that Ricky Dunleavy, he loves you very much. And Ricky Dunleavy, he wants to spend the rest of his life with you. For some reason, he's asked me to do this. Why? I've got no idea. But will you marry Ricky? Monique? Go on, Monique. I bet he's in the room with you now. Will you marry him? I hope you do. Let us know how you get on. All the best to you. Monique. Hopefully, a happy ending here on these WTF moments for last night's Raw. I've been Ross Twiddell from Cultaholic.com, and I'll see you later this week for some tier videos, for some Cultaholic Wrestling podcast, AEWTF moments, SmackDown, SummerSlam, all the hits. Bye-bye. From me and Kane, and happy engagement, hopefully, to Monique and Ricky.